First of all, I'd like to say good evening, everyone. My name is Ephraim Katsir, and on behalf of Sephardic Heritage International in DC, or SHIN-DC, welcome to the launch of our Cosmopolitan Journeys Through Greek Music series in partnership with the Embassy of Greece to the US. Her Excellency, Alexandra Papadopoulou, will now make some opening remarks.
Good evening. Here, all of us here at the Greek Embassy in Washington, D.C., we're honored to collaborate with the Sephardic Heritage International once again. And we would like to thank Mr. Franz Ephraim Katsir, Director of the organization in D.C. It has been indeed a pleasure to collaborate with him over several events. Tonight's event, I promise, will be a fascinating one. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure that we will walk away from this program with a twofold personal cultural experience. On the one hand, appreciating the uniqueness of the music of Greece and Iraq, and on the other hand, recognizing the cultural give and take of the cultures and civilizations of the broader Mediterranean region. We in Greece have always felt privileged to have been blessed with such a unique geographical location between East and West, the gateway, if you will, and at the converging point of three continents, Europe, Asia, and Africa, sharing the cultural gifts of so many unique civilizations deeply rooted in history. We will also learn about the connecting link, among others, of Sephardic music, which has often melted with local music and other cultural traditions in so many countries in the region. I'm looking forward to this event. Congratulations to all of you for organizing it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Papadopoulou. Tonight we had hoped to have the cultural attaché from the Iraqi embassy with us, but he informed us a couple of days ago that he could not make it. So we will now move on to our feature for the evening. Tonight's special program will consist of a live conversation among Greek musician Spyros Koliavasilis, Iraqi musician Laith Alattar, and Sephardic musician Asher Shasho Levy. They will discuss melodies that are shared in their respective traditions and demonstrate the connections between the respective traditions through musical performances. The launch of Cosmopolitan Journeys Through Greek Music is consistent with Greece's actions to build friendship, peace, and prosperity from the Mediterranean to the Gulf. This initiative aims to create the initiative that begins tonight aims to create a space where artists, nations, and communities can build goodwill through culture and musical traditions that are shared from the Mediterranean to the Gulf. Tonight's program captures that essence. With that, I turn over our program to the musicians. We hope you enjoy tonight's presentation.
Thank you, Ephraim. It's a wonderful event. Such an honor to be together with everyone and all of my fellow musicians in sharing this music and this culture. So we're going to begin with a very iconic piece from the Ottoman Sephardic repertoire. The Ottoman Sephardic repertoire of songs really came together in the 19th and 20th century with the composition of many songs that many people, by the way, think are very ancient, but and are very deeply rooted in Sephardic consciousness around the Mediterranean. But most of these songs were really written in the 19th and 20th century. And so I'm going to begin with a melody that certainly traveled around the Mediterranean via Sephardic influence quite a bit. And I'm going to do two versions of it. I'm going to begin with the Judeo-Espanol, the Ladino, as in the tradition of the Jews of Greece and of Turkey, with Los Bilbilicos Cantan, also known as La Rosa en Florece, a beautiful song of love that speaks of the singing of the nightingale, and really a gorgeous, gorgeous lyric of unrequited love. And the Hebrew Tzur Mishelo Achalnu that I'm going to move to is really a religious song that's sung around the Shabbat table. And it was actually written in France, the text, in, I believe, the 13th or 14th century. And so this all comes together, all of these threads of Hebrew prayer and of Judeo-Spanish culture in the Ottoman Empire come together with this beautiful song. I'm going to set it up with a little bit of a takasim, an improvisation in the maqam, the musical mode. And the maqamat, or makamlar in Turkish, or various different words in various different places, are a thread that really connects musicians all throughout the Mediterranean and the Middle East, even into the world of Persian music and Central Asia. These modal threads of scales and elements of music become a way for musicians from diverse cultures to really communicate. So this is Maqam Hijaz, one of the most famous of the maqamat, and definitely one of those building blocks of shared music between the traditions that we're featuring tonight. Los bililicos cantan con suspiros de amor, debajo se asientan los que sufren del amor, debajo se asientan los que sufren del amor. La rosa en florece en el mes de mayo, mi neshama se escurece, sufriendo del amor. Mi neshama se escurece, sufriendo del amor. Surmi shelo achalnu barechu emunai, surmi shelo achalnu barechu emunai, sabanu veortanu kinte baradonai, sabanu veortanu kinte baradonai. So we began there with the Ladino, the song of love, speaking of the nightingale and yearning of hearts. And we end with Sur Mishelo Achalnu, which is, as I mentioned, it's a Shabbat table song that thanks God for providing us with sustenance and with food around our table. Spyros, if you would like to move on to the Greek component of this, it would be my pleasure to turn over the
Good evening,
phone
Asher.
to you.
Was always excellent playing. I would like also to thank the Sephardic Association of DC and Mr. Ephraim for the great honor. Of course, the ambassador Papadopoulou, thank you for the privilege and the honor. The attaché, Ms. Murtupalas, and all the audience that are here with us today. So I'm going to say a few words. The oud, first of all. What instrument we will play tonight? We're going to play the oud, al-oud, uti, barbat in Iranian, quatra I think in Moroccan, and an instrument that is fretless and unites the whole Mediterranean area and the Arab world. So why the oud is such a special instrument? Because first of all, it's fretless. Technically speaking, can imitate the voice perfectly as a plectrum instrument, okay? And the beauty of this instrument comes because of the frequencies. As you see, it's a bass, more sustained instrument that has this deep and emotional, almost mourning sound, crying sound. So, Los Bilbilicos and the Sephardic community in Salonika, actually this song was really known to the rest of the Greeks from the Sephardic community in Salonika, Thessaloniki. Τα πρώτα λόγια του Χριστού is the Greek edition of this song, and the lyrics were from Kouyoumdjis. So the translation is the first words of Christ, τα πρώτα λόγια του Χριστού. And it's in a way not a religious song, but in a way somebody declares that for us in Greece and usually the Christians, the words of the Bible and the words of Jesus Christ are very important, and that somebody made a crown and put it on the and offered it to a person. So, τα πρώτα λόγια του Χριστού. Τα πρώτα λόγια του Χριστού κοντά στον Ιορδάνη σου φόρεσα στεφάνι κι αγγέλη τα και με δε με κόσμος εζητώ κι ο κόσμος ήταν το κερί κι οι τέσσερις ανέμοι εγώ το φως που τρέμει και εσύ ροδιά μικρή αμάν αμάν ο κόσμος το κερί κι εγώ μικρή κι οι τέσσερις So, this is τα πρώτα λόγια του Χριστού. Now, I would like to invite Laith Alattar, an Iraqi musician. And as you see, what we're trying to do here is to share more culture, share more music, share more oud. Good evening, Laith.
Good evening, Spyros. Good evening, everybody.
So,
Well, first, I want to thank you, Spyros, for inviting me to this collaboration. It's always our, shared commitment to present music that unites people, unites culture, unites the world. Whenever I perform music, from Iraq or the Arab world or the Middle East, I always hear from audiences that it belongs to everyone in the region. It is really the same melodies, the same nostalgia, whether it's Greece or Turkey, the Sephardic traditions, Armenia, Iran, all the region really is united with all the music. So it is a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the Sephardic Association in DC for hosting this event. And thank you also to the Embassy of Greece.
It's a pleasure
It is
to
very
have.
much appreciated. Spyros, do you want me to play?
Of course, that's why I muted my microphone.
So this piece is in maqam Nahawand in the minor scale. It is a very popular maqam in Iraq. There is a lot of improvisation that is similar. We don't have a piece specifically with that melody, but there's a lot of similarly shaped melodies like that. So I'll play to you some taqasim and some melodies in maqam Nahawand.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, Ephraim, allow me to start, or would you like to start, Laith, with next
Yes.
song?
So, so next we will do the Greek. There's a Turk. In the Ottoman time, there's the Uskadara, a very popular Turkish tune that was introduced in Iraq by Othman al-Mosili. He is a Sufi musician, and became called Ya Aduli La Talumni, which means it's in Arabic. It's played in Iraq as well as the other countries, Syria and the region. Like, oh critics, do not blame me for my love, as similar to all the sort of the lyrics of the region. Ya Aduli La Talumni.
We will not we will not criticize you for your love.
Yeah, don't please. So imagine we grew up, listening to these lyrics.
Yes.
Imagine how our experiences with love is.
Yes.
Hold on, admitting one more person. Okay. يا عذولي لا تلمني فالهوى قد يا عذولي لا تلمني فالهوى قد إنني مغرم صبابا أرتجي الوصال إنني مغرم صبابا أرتجي الوصال يا عذولي لا تلمني الهوى قد يا عذولي لا تلمني فالهوى قد إنني مغرم صبابا أرتجي الوصال إنني مغرم صبابا أرتجي الوصال.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Laith. Asher, would you please give us
Yes,
a
yes.
little bit of Sephardic perfume and the smell of jasmine?
Exactly. I can smell it now. This is such a beautiful event. I just want to again thank everyone from the embassy, everyone from Sephardic International in DC, and thank you, Laith, and thank you, Spyros, for sharing your beautiful music and allowing us to weave this thread of cultural strands that bring to front all of these commonalities and really deep commonalities, not superficial. This is something that's really substantial. Hundreds of years of shared music, shared culture,
Exactly.
shared way of living in the Mediterranean and the Middle East. This conversation is going to be an ongoing one, and I'm very excited about it. So I'm going to play, again, as I did with Los Bilbilicos, I'm going to play a secular Judeo-Spanish Ladino song from the Ottoman times, Selanik entero yo lo camini. I went around all of the city of Saloniki, and yet I have never seen a beautiful girl like you. And so then we go from that to Yoduchar Ayonai Adonai Roi, which is a song of the Shabbat. It's a song of Friday night, typically sitting around the table, celebrating the sacred nature unique to the day of rest. And my understanding is this song became very popular around the time of the Crimean War. So this is an older song in the repertoire. And from that time, it spread all around the Mediterranean. And the Sephardic community adopted it very early and not just limited to Turkey and Greece. In Syria, where my family came from, as well as in North Africa and Morocco and Algeria. A very, very popular melody.
True. It's in the whole area.
Selanik entero yo lo camini. Selanik entero yo lo camini. Como digica hermosa ainda no topi. Como digica hermosa ainda no topi. يودو خر عيوني أدوني روعي يودو خر عيوني أدوني روعي بيوم شبت قدش يوم شبيعي بيوم شبت قدش يوم شبيعي سيلاني كنتيرو يولو كاميني سيلاني كنتيرو يولو كاميني como digi que hermosa no tropi como digi que hermosa no tropi.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much,
It's my
Asher.
joy. It's my joy.
So, I would like to tell you also another cultural black point of the wood, if I'm allowed. So, unfortunately, the wood, because of the political situation that was back then in 1920s, was really, really badly discriminated by the people that they used to live in mainland. And the refugees from 1920s that they left from the area of Asia Minor, you know the story with the Armenians, the Assyrians, the Greeks, etc. They brought their instruments and their music and their culture in mainland, mostly in the area of Piraeus and of course in Salonika. A lot of them came also in the United States. That's why we have so many recordings of the 20s and 30s with Asia Minor music from Dalkas and all these amazing musicians. So because the wood was discriminated, it almost went to the point that was extinct in Greek music until from the 30s, 40s until the 70s, 80s. Mostly in the area of Thrace. Thrace is on the border with Turkey and Bulgaria. That they kept it because they were closer to Istanbul, Constantinople. And because there they used it because of the Muslim community and the other communities there, they continued to have the instrument, but not for the repertoire that we are discussing and playing right now. So the oud became like the instrument of the Asia Minor music, of the Smyrnaica, as we call it, of the Constantinopolitica or Politica songs. And this actually song, από ξένο τόπο, which means from a foreign country, it's the story of a girl that she was a refugee, or she came from an area like from Asia Minor or the deepest area of Anatolia. And she came probably to mainland, and the song says actually that from a foreign country or a very distant, faraway place came a 12-year-old beautiful lady, girl. But she never comes out of the door. She's hiding all the time because she's shy. And the thing is that the story talks about probably a young man that wants to contact her because she's very, very beautiful, but he doesn't have the opportunity due to the fact that she's always very cautious of the strangers, and she never even comes out of, she never even comes to the window and he doesn't have the opportunity to share with her eventually a few words. So the dance on this song is a little bit more with energy. It's sirto, and it's called Apoxenotopo. Ήρθε ένα κορίτσι φως μου 12 χρονών. Ήρθε ένα κορίτσι Παναγιά μου 12 χρονών. Ούτε στην πόρτα βγαίνει, ούτε στο στενό μανάμα, ούτε στην πόρτα βγαίνει, ούτε στο στενό, ούτε στο παραθύρι φως μου δυο λόγια να της πω, ούτε στο παραθύρι Παναγιά μου δυο λόγια να της πω. Έβγα κορί του γυαλού άστρο λαβερό αμαν, έβγα κορί του γυαλού άστρο λαβερό, χάρισε μου την ελίτσα που μου έχει στο λαιμό, χάρισε μου την ελίτσα που μου έχει στο λαιμό. Δε σου τη χαρίζω, δε σου τη πουλώ, αμαν, αμαν. Δε σου τη χαρίζω, φως μου, δε σου τη πουλώ. Μον τη θέλω την ελίτσα να σε τυραννώ. Μον τη θέλω την ελίτσα να σε τυραννώ. Μόντι θέλω την ελίτσα που έχω στο λαιμό. So
Beautiful. I
thank
wish, Spyros, this is the thing when you and Asher are doing this, I wish we could just sing together. So hopefully once we do this live in
there
person,
will be this opportunity.
yes, it's hard to resist.
Frame, this is going to be the next level of this meeting. So hopefully when
There is nothing like
it's going to be
interaction.
allowed,
Yeah.
we're going to be all on stage and we're going to play together. And we're going to have Uzo, Arak, and Asher. How do you call it?
We call it arak.
Arak. Okay. So we're going to have Uzo, Arak, Arak.
I'm over here singing too, but you might not want that on the stage.
Okay. So
So speaking of Arak, I forgot to mention, so even, this Uskadara and Ya Aduli, I mentioned it as a love song, but it is also sometimes sang as a religious song, and it's
Of course,
always
of
mixed,
course.
right? The context is kind of ambiguous. Different people sing it differently, and the
I'm
lyrics.
sure that each area has a certain kind, different words, and that happens a lot with a lot of songs, and that's the beauty of the traditional music. And now I would like to ask again my Iraqi brother, Wood brother, Laith,
Yes.
to start, or Asher, would you like to start?
Why doesn't Laith start? Because this next piece is definitely one of the classic pieces that bridges all of these communities. Lama bada
لما
yatafana.
بدا يتفنى.
And so I'll sing the Hebrew after Laith sings it. And I want everyone to pay attention to how the Hebrew, which was written in the 19th century by a great rabbi poet from Syria, Hacham Raphael Antebi Tabush, he wrote it to sound like the Arabic. So the sonics of the Hebrew words mimic the poetry of the Arabic, but with a religious message.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful. So I think the words talk about a bird, right?
Well, the
Or a bird told me that.
it's the lover, of course. It's the
Or
beloved.
a little
No,
bird told me that.
it depends on the. I mean, Arabic is a very poetic language, and words sometimes have different meanings. But
Don't forget that the Arabic language, the Arab language, the Jewish language, the Hebrew language, okay, the Hebrew and the Greek are three. I think with the Iranian and Chinese are a few of the most oldest languages
Yes.
in the area. So and don't forget that we used to travel a lot. The Greeks, we used to. I know for my country, we used to be travelers. We love to do commerce from the ancient Greek years. And we used to travel a lot. And we used to bring back to our country, to mainland or wherever we were, the elements of every country that we used to visit, like, goods, like the spices.
The spices, yes.
That
Meat,
it was
spices,
one of the most
music.
precious things and back then, okay? Of course, the Turkish, Greek, Arabic, Jewish coffee. Every one of us, we have our own edition, right? Only the Brazilians that don't have a real coffee. I'm joking now. And of course, the music. That's why we see, because Greece, due to the geographical position, we're exactly at the edge of Europe, at the beginning of Asia, and the northern of Africa. So we have the privilege to share a lot of common cultural elements with all the, of course, the Balkan in the north, Eastern Europe, etc. So, Lama Bada.
Lama bada yatafenna. And just
Yes,
want to
sir.
add also, so definitely the spices, the food, the music, the love, and there's a lot of translation of books between the Greeks.
I have a question,
Yes.
because in Greece, the most crowded place in the house is the kitchen.
Of course.
Literally,
Everything happens
is
in
the temple of the house. We fight, we get together, we love each other, we share food, we sit most of the time.
Mhm.
It's one of the most important places or rooms, or in a house, in a family. Does that apply also to your countries? I mean, your culture, your.
Greek culture. I mean, Greek culture and Arabic, Middle Eastern culture. I mean, I think the difference may be the language.
Mhm.
When we watch some Greek movies, I leave them unnamed.
You start to laugh. It brings memories, right?
It might as well be an Iraqi or Arabic family in the movie. It's the same. The argument.
Asher, does that apply to you also?
Yes, definitely. It's the same. It's the same thing. And in fact, the Sephardic culture is in so many ways a bridge, because you have Sephardic Jews, from Greece, who
yes.
spoke, Judeo-Spanish, but also Greek and Turkish and other
Yes.
languages. But then as you move east, the Sephardic Jews in Jerusalem and in Lebanon and Syria and in Egypt were of an Arabic culture, but because of the connections with the other communities in the Ottoman Empire, in Saloniki and in Rhodos and in
Yes, of course, of
Constantinople, all of these communities,
Cyprus also.
exactly, and they brought music and they shared. So even in the Syrian Jewish tradition and Iraqi Jewish traditions, you have a lot of music that comes from Asia Minor and comes from different places, not necessarily only from Syria or Iraq.
Wonderful. Laith, Whenever you're ready.
Yes, لما بدا يتثنى. So this
Yes,
song
sir.
is extremely popular. It's a موشح. It's a form of a song. It is nearly every artist in the Middle East has sang a cover for it in various versions, various tempos. So the lyrics are a little archaic, but it's talking about the beloved when he or she sways and the beauty and all that kind of stuff. But the music is beautiful, and I hope you will enjoy it. And of course, as we will see, it's the same melody in all our cultures here. لما بدا يتثنى لما بدا يتثنى حبي جمال فتنا أمان 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 وعدي ويا حيرتي وعدي ويا حيرتي وعدي ويا حيرتي وعدي ويا حيرتي من لي رحيم شكوتي في الحب من لوعتي إلا مليك الجمال إلا مليك الجمال أمان 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 لما بدا يتثنى لما بدا يتثنى أمان 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 أمان.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Beautiful, beautiful.
So
Laith.
we see this at the end, Aman, Aman, Aman.
Yes.
Something that in the Mediterranean, Aman, Amin, it's something that, Amen, it's something that we all have.
Yes. And in fact, in the Hebrew text, a beautiful point you bring up, Spyros, the Hebrew text actually plays on that by alternating between Aman and Ne'eman, which means faithful, true, and it's the root of the word Amen. So
Wonderful.
very high level poetry with this tradition that really draws upon that tradition that Laith mentioned, that this is part of the Muashaha, that is really a very ancient tradition throughout the Middle East. And I'll just mention that this is in the Samai rhythm, which is a 10-based rhythm. That's a very standard rhythm for a certain type of, you could say almost like a soli in jazz, like a pre-written piece that's written in the rhythm that sets up the maqam. So I'll just demonstrate the basis of the rhythm before I sing the song. لما قيت نستنى لما قيت نستنى أمان 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 عامي كمال نصرنا أمان 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 حبي ما يرسل حنا حبي ما يرسل حنا أمان 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 حتقي كاشل خابرنا نمان نمان أمان 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 وبنبت بحيرتي وبنبت بحيرتي وحوش لعزرتي وأقرب لخولتي كي هصدق على جبر أمان 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 كي هصدق على جبر لما قيت نستمنا لما قيت نستمنا أمان 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 عامي كمال نصرنا أمان أمان نمان.
Thank you, Asher.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much. So the Greek edition of this song, it says that I wish I was a bird to fly away and go to fly so high to go and back and see Norhera, and I could die after that. So for him, the last mission in his life, the last wish, is to probably go back in his mainland and fly like a bird there, just to see what he wants to see, and then his life, he will be so happy after that, that he, even death will not be a big issue. Naman puli. Naman puli, naman puli, naman puli na petaga, naman puli na petaga, aman, 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 naman puli na petaga. αμάν πουλί να πέταγα, αμάν πουλί να πέταγα, αμάν πιουλί να πέταγα, ψηλά ψηλά να πέταγα, να πάω να ειδώ, να πάω να ειδώ, αμάν, 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 την όρχερα κι ας γερνώ, αμάν, 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 αμάν.
Bravo, love it, Spyros.
Beautiful, Spyros.
So, the lyrics about this song, for this song, were actually recently written by a very young person in Greece. So it's not a song that we had for centuries. On the contrary, that as far as I know, the Andalusian school, the Arabic Andalusian or Andalusian school, this is a classical Andalusian composition. And now, if you allow me, the last challenge for tonight, μάτια μου, my eyes. My eyes. He says that his eyes never saw eyes like this lady. I mean, like the lady's eyes. Of course, love, it's something very powerful. And he says that when you go away, means to a foreign country, please remember me forever. So this song has two rhythmical patterns. One is sirto and one is patitos. In Turkish it's sirteteli, and Arabic makshum, I think. So yeah. So I'm gonna say the first edition, and at the end I'm gonna say the sirto. If you agree, guys, of course.
Of course.
Για μαυρά μάτια πράσινα στον άδει κατεβαίνω σαν πας στα ξένα πάρε και εμένα για συντροφιά μακριά κι αν θα σε να με θυμάσαι
Wow, that was beautiful.
Beautiful.
Spyros, can I tell you a secret? So I actually love the Greek version more than the So with your permission, we will borrow it from
Okay,
you.
of course. It's not mine. Music belongs to everybody.
So we'll put some.
We are the most legal thieves.
Yes.
Because we have a little more musical phrases in the Greek version than we have in the Arabic one. So
Exactly.
we'll put some Arabic lyrics.
And the Sephardic version is like the Arabic version, both in terms of tempo and in terms of the melodic phrases. Because the version, the Hebrew, there are many Hebrew versions actually of this, but most of them come from Syria, starting in even as early as the 18th century. There's a set of lyrics for this, but they all are at the tempo of the
My
Arabic.
guess, Asher, is that when they composed the song in the Greek edition, they had a lot of uzo, so they lost it at a point, you know? Just kidding, of course.
Okay, so I'm going to do the Hebrew version now. Samah nafshi ya suri. This is not the oldest version. The oldest version I'm aware of is Im hacham libecha beni, which is, I believe, 18th century. This is 20th century, but this is the most iconic version that you'll hear in the Syrian Sephardic Jewish community, in my community. This is also a very, very popular melody that's used in different portions of the prayer service on Shabbat in the Syrian community when it is the appropriate week, because the different Shabbatot, different Sabbaths of the week, all have prayers in a different maqam every week that corresponds to the meaning of the Torah reading on that particular day. So this is Hijaz. نقيليون نهليل إسرائيل بحر له يبني لا يميرتني سمح نفسي يا صوري ما يربن لي دايري سمح نفسي يا صوري ما يربن لي دايري بقامة شير ددري وني ودا دايري أوري بقامة شير ددري أمي ودا دايري أوري.
Thank you, Asher.
So beautiful.
My
Thank you.
joy.
That was really beautiful. Now, in the islands, they like the sirtos. Sirtos are dances that usually the whole village can join hands because, you know, the patitos or chifteteli usually are dances for the pair, you know, for the husband with wife, for people that they have a close love relationship, more intimate relationship, to put it this way. The addition of this song for the whole village to dance and for the person that is interested for a young lady or the young lady maybe sometimes to go and approach a young man is the sirto. So the addition of this song in sirto is this. Μάτια μου, μάτια μου, μάτια μου, τον μάτια μου, μάτια, τα μάτια μου δεν είδανε σαν τα δικά σου μάτια, σαν πας στα ξένα, πάρε και εμένα για συντροφιά. Μακριά κι αν θα σε, θα με θυμάσαι, να με θυμάσαι παντοτινά. So,
Love it.
as you
Incredible.
see,
I was muted.
its flower has its own perfume, as my master on the oud, Nikos Saraboudas, says and used to say. But the important thing is that we have a beautiful garden. And we can all cherish this wonderful garden in peace, love, respect, and music. And music. Because as we all know, music unites. At this point, I would like to thank our good brother Asher, all the way from California. I wish I could hear.
Can I sing it in Arabic?
We haven't done the Arabic yet, Spyros.
Oh my God!
We're gonna finish. We're gonna go back to the source.
Oh,
We're gonna finish with, at least for our community, the source.
forgive me. I apologize.
That's okay. Before I sing the Arabic version, I just want to respond to some questions. Daniel, I think, asked about the tuning. So real quickly, we have different tunings, even
Yes.
with the same thing.
Yes.
Like even, you know, in the Arab countries, and there's a Turkish tuning we sometimes use, and there's different tunings in different countries, just depending on the musician, you know, what kind of range they want, the sound, do they want it mellow or sharp?
But
So
also in the voice, you know, the range of each one. Some more bassy voices, the bass voices prefer the lower or Arabic tuning or low tuning, as we call it.
even
The more mezzo and tenor guys, they want, you know, I prefer the higher tuning, which is a whole step usually.
Yes.
And And sometimes we change the tuning. Like I just, sometimes I want to, sing something else, I change it, or do an instrumental, I change it. So it's a very versatile.
Yeah, exactly. So the
course.
tuning I'm using today is Arabic tuning up a whole step. So it's Arabic tuning to the tuning of to E, which I think has a very nice sound for Ladino music in particular.
I agree.
Okay. So let's.
Laith,
Yes. قد كلمة. Yes.
I'm
Yes.
waiting for you. Did you hide Sabah Fakri somewhere in the couch or something?
I'll keep it short.
No, keep it long and beautiful.
Aman, aman, aman. Aman, 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 aman. Aman, aman, aman. Ya aman. قدك المياس يا عمري يا غصين الباني كاليسر أنت أحلى الناس في نظري جل من سواك يا قمري قدك المياس يا عمري قدك المياس يا عمري يا غصين الباني كاليسر أنت أحلى الناس في نظري جل من سواك يا قمري حالي حالي حال بالي بالي بال وعيونك سود يا محلاهم قلبي متولع بهاهم عيونك سود سود محلاهم قلبي متولع بهواهم صار لي سنين استناهم والعالم حار في أمري قدك المياس يا عمري يا غصين الباني كاليسر أنت أحلى الناس في نظري جل من سواك يا عمري. Spyros.
Thank you.
Asher.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laith. Thank you, Spyros.
Thank you, everybody.
Asher,
Yes.
thank you again.
Yes, thank you, Spyros.
Laith, we live close. We need to get together more often.
We will, and we will share the music live on stage.
Of course.
Inshallah, all of us one day together.
Just like to say thank you to our musicians, Spyros Koliavasilis, Greece, Laith Alattar, Iraq, and Asher Shasho Levy, Sephardic Tradition. And thanks to our partner, the Embassy of Greece in the US. Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you, Her Excellency Alexandra Papadopoulou. Thank you, Connie Mortupalas and Heracles Actipis. Also, thanks to our co-sponsor, City University of New York, Brooklyn College, for spreading the word. And didn't we go on a cosmopolitan journey tonight through Greece to Iraq and Sephardic traditions? Cosmopolitan is a Greek word that needs no translation, and the shared melodies of Greece, Iraq, and Sephardic traditions tonight likewise need no translation. They speak to the heart and to multiple cultures from the Mediterranean to the Gulf. So stay tuned for our next cosmopolitan journey. Stay well and stay safe, everyone. Thank you.
Everybody.
Good night. Good night, everyone.
Thank you to the
Night,
sponsor.
everyone.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
See you again.